Hello and welcome to TechDaily.ai. I'm your host, David, and I'm really glad you're here with us today.
And I'm your guest expert, Sophia, ready to unpack what is honestly a pretty massive day for the tech world.
Yeah, it really is. But before we jump into all that madness, I have a quick message for you. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit TechDaily.ai to get started today.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Exactly. Okay, let's look at the calendar. It is Thursday, February 26, 2026. And if you have been, anywhere near a screen today, you probably noticed that Google just dropped something huge.
Yay, certainly did. It's been impossible to miss.
We are talking about the release of the Nano Banana 2 image model. And honestly, looking at the buzz online, this doesn't feel like just a standard version update. It feels like a real shift.
It is a shift. It's a significant leap in both speed and fidelity. And what's really interesting is that Google isn't just releasing one thing here. They're splitting the atom. You have the Nano Banana 2, which is focusing heavily on speed and is built on that flash technology we've seen.
Right, the faster architecture.
Exactly. And then you have the heavy hitter, which is the Nano Banana Pro.
Which is the one everyone is geeking out over regarding quality.
Right. The Pro version is built on Gemini 3 Pro, and that's where we are seeing the high-fidelity reasoning capabilities. This is Google really cementing its feet in the ground after the original Nano Banana model went absolutely viral back in August of last year.
Oh, man, August 2025. I remember that. You couldn't open a social media app without seeing those AI images everywhere.
It was a total phenomenon.
Let's actually rewind a second to set the context for you listening, because I think it helps explain why today matters so much. When the original Nano Banana dropped last summer, the numbers were staggering. I was reading that it attracted 13 million first-time users to the Gemini app in just 4 days.
4 days. That is the kind of adoption curve that most tech companies dream about for a decade.
And by mid-October, they had generated over 5 billion images. 5 billion.
It proved something essential to the market. It proved that AI image generation wasn't just a toy for tech enthusiasts or, a niche tool for digital artists. It's a mass market mover.
Yeah.
And if you look at the financials, that viral success helped drive a 47% surge in Google stock over the last 6 months. Investors saw those usage numbers and realized this strategy was actually sticking.
So fast forward to today, February 26th, we have Nano Banana 2. If I open my Gemini app right now, what is actually changing for me?
So starting today, Nano Banana 2 is replacing the previous Pro version in the fast and thinking models within the app.
Okay, so the default engine just got an upgrade.
Correct. Nano Banana 2 relies on Gemini's Flash models. Think of Flash as Google's architecture for speed and efficiency. It's designed to be quick. But if you want the heavy lifting, the really complex reasoning, that is where the new Nano Banana Pro comes in. That one is built on Gemini 3 Pro.
So we have a speed demon and a brainiac.
That is a very good way to put it.
Let's talk about the brainiac, the Pro model.
Yeah.
Because looking at the feature list, there is one thing that jumped out at me immediately, and I think every listener who has ever tried to make an AI image has struggled with this. Text.
Oh, the holy grail of AI imagery.
Seriously. For the longest time, if you asked an AI to make a sign that said, "Welcome," it would give you this alien hieroglyphic gibberish. But this new model claims to have solved it.
It's a massive step forward. The Pro model can render accurate, legible text, and not just in English, but in multiple languages. And it's not just slapping a text box on top of a picture. It's integrating the text into the texture of the world itself.
Give me an example of what that looks like.
So imagine you prompt the model for a view of a street in Berlin, but you want the architecture itself, the windows, the building shapes, to subtly spell out the word Berlin.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it does it perfectly. The houses look like actual houses, but the structure spells the word. Or take a graphic design example. You can ask for a retro typography poster. You can specify bold, blocky, extra condensed letters with a 3D effect, maybe some half-tone dot patterns, and it renders the specific word typography Y perfectly within that exact aesthetic.
That is huge for designers.
Yeah.
It's the difference between generating a rough concept art piece and generating a fully usable asset.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just style. It handles translation, too. There was a demonstration where they took an image of beverage cans with English text and asked the model to translate the text to Korean, and this is the key, keep everything else exactly the same.
Like the background and lighting.
Yes, the lighting on the cans, the condensation, the background, it all stayed consistent, but the text morphed into perfect Korean.
That is wild. It's like a universal translator, but for visual reality.
It really blurs the line between editing and recreating from scratch.
Speaking of recreating reality, another thing that stood out to me was this idea of world knowledge. Usually, image generators are just dreaming based on patterns they've seen. They don't actually know facts. But this new Pro model actually understands the content it's creating.
This is where the integration with Google Search becomes a killer feature. Because it's built on Gemini 3 Pro, it has reasoning and access to real-time information. It's not just making art. It's visualizing information.
So if I ask for a chart or a guide, it actually knows what it's talking about.
Yes. For example, you could ask it to generate an infographic for elaichi chai, which is cardamom tea. It won't just draw a pretty cup of tea. It can lay out a step-by-step guide with the correct ingredients and instructions rendered in text right on the image.
Right.
Or a care guide for a string of turtles houseplant. It knows the facts about the plant's origins and care requirements, and it visualizes them accurately.
That is a total game changer for education. Or, just for me trying to keep my houseplants alive.
It really is. It turns the model into a visual search engine that creates the answer for you, rather than just finding a link to someone else's graphic.
No, we have to talk about consistency, because that's the other big pain point. You generate a character you love, you try to put them in a new scene, and suddenly they look like a completely different person.
Right, the morphing identity problem. Nano Banana Pro has a new feature focused specifically on character consistency. It can maintain the likeness of up to 5 different characters and the fidelity of up to 14 distinct objects in a single workflow.
5 characters at once.
Simultaneously.
I saw a visual example of this that was honestly adorable. It was this fluffy characters prompt.
Oh, the 14 creatures.
Yeah. It was described as 14 distinct fluffy creatures sitting on a sofa watching a vintage TV. And the model kept all 14 distinct. It didn't blend them into a weird blob. It didn't forget what the third one from the left looked like. They were all rendered consistently in this dimly lit, cozy living room.
And that is technically very difficult. Maintaining 14 separate object permanences in a generated image is a heavy computational lift. It shows how much better the model is getting at understanding the relationship between objects in a 3D space.
It seems like it also has a sense of humor, or at least a sense of logic. I heard about a woodchuck prompt.
Yes, this was a great stress test for the model's reasoning. They gave it the prompt based on the tongue twister, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Exactly. And the result was an image of that actual phrase, spelled out of wood, being chucked by a literal woodchuck.
That is so meta. I love it.
It's funny, but it demonstrates that the AI understands the semantic meaning of the words, the material properties of wood, and the physical action of chucking, and combines them into a coherent image.
So we have the fun stuff and we have the smart stuff, but what about the professional stuff? If I'm a photographer or a creative director, what does this give me that I didn't have yesterday?
Control. That is the key word here. Studio quality control. In the past, if you wanted to change the aspect ratio of an image, say, make a square image into a widescreen 16:9 for a banner, the AI would often stretch the image or distort the character. Nano Banana 2 can extend the background without distorting the subject.
So no more squash faces.
No more squash faces. And you have lighting control. You can take a scene generated in broad daylight and ask it to switch to night. Or apply chiaroscuro lighting.
Chiaroscuro. You're getting fancy on me.
It's that dramatic, harsh directional lighting you see in Renaissance paintings or moody portraits. Deep shadows, bright highlights. You can apply that effect to a portrait, and the model understands how light should physically interact with the face while keeping the face entirely recognizable.
And I saw I can upscale images significantly too.
From 512 pixels all the way up to 4K resolution. That's huge for print or high-res displays. It moves this from cool phone background to billboard ready.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We're talking about features, but we really need to talk about the business side. Because Google isn't doing this in a vacuum. There's a massive race going on right now.
The AI race. And it is really heating up. You have to remember, when Google released Gemini 3 recently, it reportedly caused a code red at OpenAI.
A code red.
That's the rumor. It signaled that Google was catching up, or in some areas, pulling ahead. Google's goal here is very clear. They want to surpass competitors in widely adopted AI services. They want Gemini to be the default place you go to create.
But looking at the market today, Thursday the 26th, Google's stock, or Alphabet, technically is actually down a little bit, right? About 2%.
It is, but I wouldn't read too much panic into that specific number today. The wider tech sector is taking a bit of a dip. NVIDIA, Tesla, they are all seeing some red today. It's just a volatile market.
So it's not a thumbs down on the product release itself?
Unlikely. If you look at the 6-month trend, that 47% rise we mentioned earlier, the market is clearly validating the strategy. Investors see that the viral success of the original Nano Banana translated into real, sustained user numbers. They are playing the long game.
Now, whenever we talk about AI images that are this good images that can fake text, fake photos, fake anything really, we have to talk about trust. How do I know if what I'm looking at is real?
This is a critical part of the rollout. Google is pushing their provenance measures pretty hard. The big one is Synthid.
Synthid, that's the watermark.
It is, but it's an imperceptible digital watermark embedded directly into the pixels of the media. You can't see it with your naked eye, but software can easily detect it.
So even if I take a screenshot, does it stay?
It's designed to be highly robust against things like that. And they're rolling out a verification tool right inside the Gemini app. You can upload an image and ask, was this made by Google AI? And it checks for that Synthid signature.
But they also have visible watermarks for some users, right?
Yes. If you are a free user or a standard pro user, you will see a visible Gemini Sparkle watermark on the image. It's a visual cue to tell people right away, hey, this is AI.
But not for everyone.
Right. If you are an Ultra subscriber or a developer, you get clean images without the visible sparkle. The logic is that professionals need clean images for their commercial work, like that typography poster we talked about. But the invisible synthi remains in the background no matter what.
And I saw a mention of C2PA credentials coming soon.
Yes, that's the industry standard, the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. It's essentially like a digital nutrition label for media. Google is adding that to the app soon, which will help with cross-platform transparency.
It feels like we are walking a tightrope between amazing creative tool and reality distortion machine, and these watermarks are the safety net.
It is exactly that. And as the tools get better, like Nano Banana 2, the safety nets have to get much more sophisticated to keep up.
So let's wrap this up and synthesize what we've learned today. We have Nano Banana 2, which is the speedster for the masses, and we have Nano Banana Pro, which is the high-precision tool that can spell, count, reason, and understand the real world.
That is the breakdown. It is Google telling the world we are fast and we are smart.
And for you listening, it means the barrier to creating professional-looking graphics just dropped all the way to zero.
It really did. But I want to leave you with a thought that goes a bit deeper than just cool graphics.
Let's hear it.
We are moving past image generation. That was last year. With tools that can perfectly render text, translate languages visually on a soda can, and maintain character identity across a full storyboard, we are entering the era of instant media production.
That sounds intense.
Think about it. If anyone with a smartphone can create a studio-quality movie storyboard or a fully localized ad campaign for Korea in seconds, what happens to the commercial value of design? We aren't just automating pixels anymore. We are automating the entire production pipeline. If the execution becomes instant and free, the only value left is the idea itself.
That is slightly terrifying, but also incredibly exciting. The value shifts completely from the hands to the mind.
Exactly. The creatives who win will be the ones with the best taste and the best concepts, not necessarily the best technical skills.
Well, on that note, I'm going to go see if I can generate a storyboard for my life where I'm slightly more organized. Thank you so much for breaking this down with us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for listening. This has been our exploration of the new world of Nano Banana. Check out the show notes on techdaily.ai, and we will catch you in the next one.